Between heaven and earth, waves of surging flames swept across the land like a tidal wave, reducing a vast forest spanning thousands of miles to charred, blackened wood. Shwa shwa. The sound of rushing wind echoed as four figures burst out from the inferno-like forest. In just a few breaths, they retreated to the outskirts of the sea of flames and cast their gaze toward the center of the forest. There, a figure sat cross-legged in midair, Xiao Yin. Suspended before Xiao Yin was a colossal flame cauldron, towering hundreds of feet high. The sea of flames roared out from this cauldron, engulfing the surrounding land. It had been several days since Xiao Yin began attempting to refine a person using the techniques of a heavenly alchemist. During this time, nearly 300 high-grade medicinal herbs had been infused into the body of the poison maiden, Yirong. This process significantly enhanced Yirong's physical resilience, making her comparable to a warrior who had endured the body refinement tribulation. However, the cost was steep. Xiao Yin had consumed nearly half of his precious high-grade herbs, some of which were intended for refining imperial-grade pills. If there was anything unexpected in this endeavor, it was the scene unfolding before Xiao Yin, a scene even he found difficult to witness. Hiss. Inside the colossal flame cauldron, 9 colored flames howled, releasing wisps of white mist. The most striking sight, however, was the figure slumped against the cauldron's inner wall, a delicate, unconscious body. Yirong's skin, flushed from the overwhelming heat, trembled uncontrollably. Even in her unconscious state, soft, seductive murmurs escaped her lips, betraying the turmoil within her. Yirong had entered a state of frenzy. The temperature of the heavenly flame was too high, and its chaotic energy had driven her into an unconscious yet uncontrollable state of desire. This was something Xiao Yin had not anticipated. It was his first attempt at refining a person as if they were a medicinal pill, truly worthy of being the Sect master's daughter, a live performance. On a distant peak, a group of young men observed the scene within the cauldron, unable to contain their amazement. "What are you looking at? One more glance and I'll gouge out your eyes." Furious, Yi Tianlian, Yirong's elder sister, flicked her fingers, and a curtain of black energy expanded rapidly before them, transforming into a barrier thousands of feet wide in an instant. Even Yi Tianlian was embarrassed by her sister's display of uncontrolled passion. However, she had heard that certain refining techniques used by inexperienced heavenly alchemists often led to such situations due to improper flame control. Blame could only be placed on the alchemist's lack of skill. If Yi Tianlian knew that this was Xiao Yan's first attempt at refining a person, she would likely explode with rage. Wasn't her sister being used as nothing more than an experiment? Such charm at this age almost rivals my Xiao Xiao. Before the cauldron, Xiao Yin gazed at the trembling young woman within, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. But as he continued to observe, his expression sharpened. Buzz. With a focused gaze, the space within the cauldron froze abruptly. Yirong's body, previously writhing uncontrollably, was now completely immobilized. "Now, for the final step." A deep voice echoed from Xiao Yan's lips as he swept his sleeve toward the flame cauldron. Shwa. In an instant, the colossal cauldron vanished, leaving only Yirong suspended in midair, surrounded by swirling, multicolored flame dragons. Xiao Yin knew that the true battle with Yirong's poisonous constitution was about to begin. His efforts over the past few days had been aimed at enhancing her body to drastically increase her poison resistance. But such a transformation would inevitably provoke a violent backlash from the latent poison within her. Boom. As expected, with the disappearance of the cauldron, the suppressive refining energy dissipated, unleashing a torrent of poison from within Yirong. The venom surged skyward as a massive, purple-black dragon, spanning tens of thousands of feet, materialized in the heavens. The sheer power of the poison dragon was enough to make even 9th-grade supreme experts tremble. Yet the one confronting this beast was not a mere 9th-grade supreme. It was a true Earth Supreme powerhouse. Outside the forest, the massive disturbance caused the black curtain to dissipate. The young men and Yi Tianlian could now see the colossal poison dragon in the sky. The overwhelming power left them stunned. "You're really eager for me to deal with you, aren't you?" Xiao sneered as he gazed at the massive poisonous dragon formed by the power of poison in the sky. Narrowing his eyes slightly, an overwhelming and terrifying aura surged from his body, causing the spiritual energy in the heavens and earth to boil instantly. Buzz. A wave of spatial distortion rippled out from around Xiao, instantly enveloping a radius of 100,000 feet. Even the poisonous dragon was caught within it. Within this range, the entire space solidified into an unbreakable prison. Spatial imprisonment. Trapped within the spatial prison, the poisonous dragon roared furiously, its voice shaking the very fabric of space. Gathering its immense poisonous energy, it formed a colossal sphere of poison, thousands of feet in size. The power within that sphere could annihilate an 8th grade supreme. In my spatial prison, you won't even get a chance to strike. Xiao voice was cold as he eyed the massive poison sphere. Boom. Just as the poisonous dragon was about to unleash the poison sphere toward Xiao, the surrounding space twisted again. Suddenly, 10 vibrant fire dragons materialized. Each one as formidable as the poisonous dragon. The 10 fire dragons encircled the poisonous dragon, and as it prepared to launch the poison sphere, they lunged forward, binding it tightly. Despite the poisonous dragon's continuous roars, the overwhelming suppressive force from the fire dragons gradually sapped its strength. Condense. With a deep, resonant command from Xiao, the fire dragons began to contract violently. The poisonous dragon, caught in their grip, shrank rapidly, its resistance diminishing with each passing moment. Within moments, both the 10 fire dragons and the poisonous dragon vanished, leaving behind a palm-sized seal. The seal was dark purple at its center, surrounded by 10 fiery dragon patterns, as if flames were burning on its surface. Flame dragon poison mark. Xiao exhaled deeply. Suppressing the poisonous dragon had required no small effort. With the poisonous dragon now sealed as the flame dragon poison mark, Xiao waved his sleeve, dispersing the sea of fire around him. His gaze shifted to Yirong, who was still suspended in midair and unconscious. Her toxic aura had now dissipated. If little fairy doctor were here, I might have considered transferring your poisonous body to her. You're lucky. With a flick of his finger, the flame dragon poison mark shot toward Yirong and entered her body. A miniature flame dragon poison mark emerged on her forehead. As the sea of fire receded, the sound of rushing wind echoed. Several young men, along with Yi Tianlian, appeared before Xiao, their eyes fixed on the unconscious Yirong. The 4 seals placed on her by your sect master have been fully removed. I've also added a new seal to her divine poison body. This seal has 5 levels, each unlocking progressively. When she awakens, if used wisely, she will gradually gain control over her poisonous body. The power of the first level allows her to rival a 1st grade supreme. The second level can contend with a 3rd grade supreme, the third with a 5th grade supreme, the 4th with a 7th grade supreme, and the final level, if fully mastered, will enable her to rival even a 9th grade supreme. Xiao explained as he waved his sleeve, causing Yirong to descend gently into Yi Tianlian's arms. Thank you so much. Yi Tianlian, catching Yirong, quickly produced a garment to cover her exposed body. I initially planned to seal her poisonous energy temporarily and deal with it later when I bring my friend from the lower dimension. But I decided to give this method a try, and it turned out to be a partial success. Xiao smiled faintly. Then, with a thought, he murmured, "It seems I've been away for some time. I should return and check on things." Check on what? Yi Tianlian asked, intrigued. A week ago, when my wife, Cai Lin, and I entered this relic continent, she sensed a peculiar calling and discovered an ancient cave dwelling. She went in to investigate while I waited outside. On the 2nd day of entering this relic continent, Cai Lin sensed a bloodline summoning in a certain mountain range. Xiao speculated that a supremely powerful serpentine divine beast from the great 1,000 worlds might have once perished in this mountain range. For Cai Lin, this could be a rare opportunity, so Xiao urged her to explore the ancient cavern and see if there was any inheritance she could acquire. By the way, how is your Yuande sect doing now? Xiao asked again. Back then, Xinling Hall sent 5 elders to capture Yirong. Among them, the Grand Elder and Second Elder were ninth-tier supremes, and there were over a dozen other supreme experts. Although the Yuande sect is one of the 8 kings in the 8 kings region, the 8 factions have always been at odds with each other. When Xianling Hall targeted the Yuande sect, the other 7 factions didn't offer any assistance. My father and several elders managed to hold off Xianling Hall's Grand Elder and others, giving us a chance to escape. But even so, we were still discovered and pursued, Yi Tianlian said. After that, you saved us. I drove off Xianling Hall's people earlier. You should be able to return to Yuande sect now, Xiao Yan said. With a flick of his finger, a spiritual seal condensed in the air. When Yirong wakes up, give her this seal. Tell her to keep it. If one day my friends from the lower dimension come to the Great Thousand Worlds, they may have some interest in her divine poison body. Also, Yirong is quite endearing. If anyone causes her trouble in the future, she can send a distress signal through this seal, and I'll be informed. Yi Tianlian accepted the spiritual seal from Xiao Yan's hand. Xiao Yan's help was immeasurable, but they also knew that, with their current strength, there was little they could do to repay him. They could only remember this dead in their hearts. All right, I must leave now. If fate permits, we'll meet again. With that, Xiao Yan stood up and gazed into the distant horizon. Buzz. Under Yi Tianlian and the others' gaze, the space behind Xiao Yan gradually distorted, and in the next moment, he vanished into the heavens and earth. Watching Xiao Yan depart, Yi Tianlian and the others smiled faintly. Let's go back to the sect. The Relic continent, one of the southern fragment continents. This was a primitive and ancient land. Beneath the dim sky lay a vast and scarred earth. Gigantic fissures crisscrossed the ground, a testament to a cataclysmic battle that once raged here. Deep within this desolate continent, there was a striking abyss stretching for 10,000 miles. At this moment, the space within the abyss was distorted and warped. Buzz. Above the vast abyss, the space suddenly twisted as a spatial passage appeared. A figure cloaked in black emerged. It was Xiao Yan. Still not out of seclusion? Xiao Yan murmured softly as his gaze shifted to the massive abyss below. With a flicker of his figure, he darted downward. This immense abyss was the very place where Cai Lin had sensed a bloodline summoning when they entered the Relic continent. The spatial structure here was exceedingly peculiar. Xiao Yan speculated that in ancient times, a powerful being must have perished in this abyss. Moreover, this being was not human but a formidable serpentine divine beast from the Great Thousand Worlds. Based on Xiao Yan's observations, the fallen creature's strength had not reached the Earth Supreme level, yet it was enough to rank among the top 40 divine beasts on the heavenly rankings. After its death, this powerful being created an overlapping space within the abyss, sealing its inheritance inside, awaiting a fated individual. Cai Lin had now become that destined one. Swoosh. Descending to a depth of 100,000 feet within the abyss, Xiao Yan halted. Observing the severely warped space around him, he immediately deduced that passing through this distortion would lead to the inheritance cavern. However, Xiao Yan couldn't help but wonder which divine beast's bloodline resonated with Cai Lin. Could it be another 9-colored heaven-swallowing python like Cai Lin? Xiao Yan recalled what Yi Tianlian and the others had mentioned about the primordial ancient dragon clan's ancestor. Could it be that the fallen divine beast here wasn't from the Great Thousand Worlds, but had instead come from a lower dimension? These thoughts raised a myriad of questions in Xiao Yan's mind, making him realize that he might have stumbled upon a monumental secret. He needed to organize his thoughts carefully. Xiao Yan's contemplation lasted for several days, but he remained unaware of the scene unfolding in the inheritance cave dwelling before him. This was once a barren land devoid of any vitality, with an oppressive atmosphere that made it difficult to endure. Within this desolate realm stood 18 colossal black pillars, each towering tens of thousands of feet. These pillars were linked together, forming what appeared to be an unimaginably vast and ominous formation. At the center of this massive formation lay 2 strikingly prominent objects. One was a skeletal remains of a colossal dragon python, spanning tens of thousands of feet. Its bones were a deep, eerie black, as if tainted by some malevolent force. The other was an enormous stone stele, thousands of feet tall, covered in countless mysterious runes. After 10,000 years of waiting, has a descendant of my clan finally arrived. A hoarse, ancient voice emanated from the massive stone stele, resonating through the air. Seated atop the stone stele was an elderly man in a brown robe, his presence eternal as if untouched by time. He gazed at a graceful figure walking slowly from the other side of the stele, a faint smile appearing on his withered face. The figure approaching from the other side of the stele was none other than Cai Lin, drawn to this place by the bloodline power that had summoned her. To reach this point, she had fought her way through 4 formidable trials. Even with her strength at the peak of the 2nd grade supreme, she had endured considerable peril to arrive here. As Cai Lin observed the ancient figure before her, her gaze was filled with astonishment. The source of her shock was the undeniable connection she felt with his bloodline, which bore a striking similarity to her own. However, his bloodline far surpassed hers, leaving her certain that this being was not a 9-colored heaven-swallowing python, but likely a legendary super beast of the continent of Do-Chi. In the vast Great Thousand Worlds, recorded as the 32nd divine beast on the 10,000 Beasts record heavenly rankings, was the ancient heavenly serpent. According to ancient legends from the continent of Do-Chi, the ancient heavenly serpent was the common ancestor of top-tier magical beasts such as the 9-nether-earth underworld python and the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. To Cai Lin's shock, this ancient figure was none other than a supreme being who had transformed from an ancient, heavenly serpent. By her estimation, his power at his peak likely exceeded the 8th grade supreme, although his current strength seemed to be at the 7th grade supreme level. Yet, even in his diminished state, he was far beyond her reach. "You are an ancient heavenly serpent?" Cai Lin asked hesitantly, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Indeed. But I am not just an ancient heavenly serpent. I am the progenitor of all ancient heavenly serpents," the ancient figure replied, his voice filled with gravitas. "And you are one of my countless descendants." Hearing his words, Cai Lin was struck with a wave of shock. Her expression turned to one of incredulity. The progenitor of the ancient heavenly serpents? How could such a figure, akin to a living fossil, still exist? Unbelievable, isn't it? The ancient figure chuckled softly upon seeing her stunned expression. In the next moment, an overwhelming pressure erupted from his body, enveloping Cai Lin entirely. Boom. The terrifying pressure was not due to overwhelming spiritual energy, but rather a deep, intrinsic suppression buried within her bloodline. Under this immense pressure, Cai Lin's gaze turned solemn, and she instinctively knelt on one knee before this ancient figure. In that moment, Cai Lin realized the truth in his words. The oppressive force that completely subdued her 9-colored heaven-swallowing python bloodline proved beyond doubt that this being, even if not the progenitor of the ancient heavenly serpents, was at least in existence on par with such legends. Cai Lin greets the heavenly serpent ancestor. Upon confirming his astonishing identity, Cai Lin quickly lowered her head in respect. This figure was the ancestor of all ancient heavenly serpents. It was highly likely that the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python was merely a sprouted seed sown by him in the lower dimensions. "Perhaps it has been too long, and my memory has grown faint," the ancient figure murmured. "Your bloodline is of my lineage, yet I cannot discern which branch you belong to." He then beckoned Cai Lin closer. "It has been 10,000 years since I last conversed with anyone. If you have come to inherit my legacy, sit and speak with me for a while. I am a 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. However, the 9-colored heaven-swallowing python has now fallen into decline in the lower dimension where I reside," Cai Lin replied as she moved closer, seating herself before the ancient figure. "The lower dimension, is it the continent of Do-Chi?" the ancient figure asked Cai Lin. Cai Lin, who had only been slightly startled at first, was now utterly shaken upon hearing the ancient figure mention the continent of Do-Chi. How could the ancestor of the ancient heavenly serpent possibly know she came from the continent of Do-Chi? There's no need to be so shocked. In truth, the origin of the ancient heavenly serpent is the continent of Do-Chi. Like you, I too come from the continent of Do-Chi. Seeing the astonishment on Cai Lin's face, the ancient figure gave another faint smile. Across from him, Cai Lin was now completely overwhelmed with shock. Every word from this ancestor of the ancient heavenly serpent was far beyond her expectations. Could it be that the person before her was one of those Do-Di powerhouses who, in ancient times, broke through the shackles of the continent of Do-Chi and ascended to the Great Thousand Worlds? Meanwhile, outside this cavernous space, Xiao had been consumed by a myriad of complex thoughts for several days, attempting to sort through everything in his mind. He had finally pieced together all the information he had. 1. The ancestors of the primordial ancient dragon clan, who hailed from a lower dimension, had all perished in a sudden war. 2. The surviving descendants of the primordial ancient dragon clan had no knowledge of where their ancestors originated from. 3. Cai Lin, on the relic continent, had encountered a bloodline resonance connected to her 9-colored heaven-swallowing python. Question 1. Who were the ancestors of the primordial ancient dragon clan and the other shackle breakers from the same lower dimension fighting against that led to their total annihilation? Who could possess such power to obliterate a sect composed entirely of individuals who had broken through dimensional shackles? Question 2. Among so many supreme powerhouses who ascended to the Great Thousand Worlds from the lower dimensions, why was the primordial ancient dragon clan the only one able to preserve a trace of its bloodline, allowing it to flourish and become one of the 3 great dominators of the relic continent? Did none of the other shackle breakers have any surviving descendants? Another question. Why has the primordial ancient dragon clan on the relic continent been unable to locate their original dimension after searching for tens of thousands of years? What kind of dimension could it be? Could it be that no other dimensional shackle breaker has ever reached out to them from the Great Thousand Worlds? These countless questions greatly troubled Xiao, leaving him unable to deduce any answers. Suddenly, his thoughts shifted, and he turned his gaze toward the distorted space ahead. Within that distorted space, perhaps Cai Lin was undergoing some kind of inheritance or receiving a fortuitous opportunity. Xiao Yan's brows suddenly furrowed.